doing CRUD operation in React and MySQL, you have to create two folders like API and frontend. In the API, you need to download packages and package.json file using npm init/y this y and you have to download package like npm install mysql nodemon express and course. I already download all the packages, so I don't download it second time. You have to download. After downloading all package, you have to go in package.json file. In that, you have to change your script and you have to write this start nodemon index.js. After changing this script, you have to create index.js and db.js and two folders like controllers and routes. In db.js, you have to write this code MySQL, import MySQL and create const db for connecting our database. You have to write create connection. Here host localhost, user root, password. In password you have to add your password, and in database your database name. Generally password is blank, but here is my password. And after creating db.js, you have to write index.js. In that you have to write import express course. After importing both, you have to use it using const app express. Here we create express variable which use express to run our server. After creating app variable, you have to use it as a express.json and course, and simply you have to listen our server on 8000 port, and here you can write anything. After complete whole step, you can check server using npm start or node start. Here our server run on the port number 8000. After creating this, you have to come on frontend. In frontend, you have to create React app using npx create React app. After creating frontend app, you have to download packages like npm I Axios and other front-end packages like React Router DOM and other we talk about later. First you have to create create React app, name frontend and download Axios and React Router DOM. After creating it, you have to come on app.js, and if you want to add Bootstrap, you can import Bootstrap like this. And after downloading npm installing React Router DOM, you can import browser router, routes and root. Through these, you can simply join your page to the app.js like this. First, we have to you have already you have a function called app. In that, you have to change return like this, and you have to write browser router, which one we already imported at here from React Router DOM, which used for calling our page in routes and route. From route slash I call student here on the student create an update. I create all the pages, and here the my two pages are is here create student and update student. Let's check first. You can create student.js. In student.js, first we input React, use effect and use state and Axios. Also link, because to link our second page. First, after importing all things, you have to create a function like this student. In that, in return, you have to create your you have to write your front end code like this. Here I make div class and use bootstrap. Here I create one button using link to go to the create page, and here I simply show a table. We go to the backend part. First, check the front end code. Okay, and then here in the showing a table means to show a select query, you have to create student.map data, data.name, data.email, and here I create to link for update and delete. First, what is data and where the data come from? So here on the starting of a function, I create student, set student, use state, and also use effect and call a backend like axios.get API. Then result set student equal to result.data. Through set student, the result of my API is set in student, and if I got any error, it show error. That means my backend data is stored in student, and here I use student.map function, and through I print data of student name and student email. Now, how I call this axios.get? For that, first I have to change the package.json file. Here we have to add this proxy localhost 8000 port. Why we use proxy? Because we run our API on the port 3000, and our backend folder is run on 8000. That's why we need to add this code in package.json of front end package.json proxy. After adding this code, you have to go in our API. In controllers, you have to create folder name controllers. In that, you have to create your file like this student.js. In that, just simple we have to write import rdb, which one we already created for database connection. Here we have to write code, backend code like this: export function get student, select star from student. Student is my table name. You can simply select anything from your database. Here we use db.query function to run SQL. If we got error, then return error, and if we got data, then the result.json.data. Like simply like this, you have to export a function get student to show a function like anything you want to show your data from the backend. After writing the query, select query, you have to call it in your routes folder like this: express, import express, and simply import get student.js. From controller student.js we call get student. On when and on just starting of page, router.get on the start. What is router? Express.router, we call router from the express. Here the simple code of the backend. Just you need to add these also in index.js app.use/API routes. What's routes? Is from the routes student.js. Means simply our controller.js in student.js, in that we have to create a file, anything name, you can write any name of this file and any query that you want. Like here I write a select query. To call this select query, you have to go in a routes folder. In routes you have to go you have to create also one folder, and simply you have to call your student which are from controllers. Simply you have to call that and print it at here using router.get/get student. Here the app.use API routes. Using all this code, simply you have to start your front end also. It's a normal code. Just you have to create you have to write all the queries in the controllers. Then after you have to call your queries in routes, and then after you have to just for one time you have to add your routes in index.js using routes and routes student.js. Means first from front end from here, simply our API call the get function which go into the index.js here. From here to here from routes it goes to the route folder in student.js, and it check slash get student from controller, and it shows the result of this query like this. From my backend I got this data. Same here in the JSX I also write a delete query. On here you can check the button. I after the name and email printing at here I give two buttons. In last button simply I write code. On click it call handle delete and go with id. From where? From the above data, and from data I got id from my backend. Is a simple code. Check my query. Here id, name and email. Here the id I print the id dot data dot id from the backend to the delete to the handle delete function. Just on click handle delete data dot id. That means handle dot delete goes with the id from the backend. On the delete function handle delete executes delete student. I write a simple name student. You can also give a name like delete $id from this id. And if the code work, I simply reload the page. In backend just you have to change routes like here router dot delete student id, because delete code is also have id, and on that I call delete eq from the controller. In controller you have to delete you have to add delete query like this, same as select query. Here I write delete query delete from student where id equal to this, and to get id you have to write this request dot params dot id. You have to use params dot id because the id is come from the above url. db.query id error data. If error then error. If our code run it gives data. What data it gives? It reload our page. Same as I write here insert code, insert into student. You have to write all the code in controller. Here I write insert into student name, email and values. You have to add values, or if you have to compare the function compare the data, you have to you have to write a question mark like this. What the question mark means? data is values data are in below at here request.body name and email, where name and email come from our front end body. Here the db.query says SQL query plus values. What value? Name and email. Same I write update code. First we check the routes all for the create. Here same as all code, simply for this for select, these were insert, this for update, and this for delete. All the code are from controller, and simply you have to write at here create on controllers, you got a create. Okay, for create student I make a second file. You can just click on this link which I give first. Check this. I go to the create. How I can go? Because I write here create, then I go to the create student function. Here my create student function is here. I export the function create student. In create student page I also call or Axios React use state, and also use navigate to navigate to the other page. Simply you have to download it using npm install. On function I create to use state call name and email to store our value in from to store value from the form, and use create navigate variable for use navigate. Here I create a simple form add student. On submit it call handle it which is at here name input. In input you have to simple store our data like this. On change set name e.target.value, same in email, and submit button. Simple code. Simply you have to create a form, and in form you have to write this line on change and on submit. On submit handle as soon as you click on submit button, you come at here function handle. Here it call API, like API create with and go with the name and email. Here you have to write event dot prevent default to get a form data. As soon as you got form data at here, you have to you post Axios post data to the backend using API create, and here if we got result, simply we navigate to the first page because we use slash. It means when you submit the form, name and email go to the backend API using create, and in backend just the routes, here the routes of student.js find the create from the controllers, and the query is run. Query is this. Just check the output. Here I add name. Here our student added mkics at the both place. And we also create we also check delete code as well. So we delete one query. This is my delete code, which are from come from the students. Simple, you have to use axios delete instead of post. And is on the delete, our page was reload. Or for updating, I create a update page, also link with the update and go with the id, and id come from the backend on the student.js. Here link to the update, and link go with update go with the id. It means as soon as I click on the update, student id come at here 103. And on the update page, I simply import all the packages and one extra package called use params for id. Use params is useful to save our id. It means it store our 103 id from the url. And here I I write update code axios put. To update our query, you have to write put. So we check put, post and get. Here api slash update go with the id, name and email. Name and email is same as come from the form. Code is same as the create form. Check if we get the data, navigate to the slash. Here I create simple form, name, email, on change event and on submit handle. On submit handle, it come with the name and email, and simply call our backend. And at the backend, you can just go to the routes. In here you get put, update id. You have to write all this code. And in the controller, you just check the update code, like update student set name equal to dash, email equal to dash, where id equal to this. How the IDs come from the parameters using request.params.id, same as the delete code, and the name and email data come from the front end. For that, using the request.body function. Just check controller. Here is my select code, insert code, update code and delete code. Nothing else. db is used for the calling the database. Routes connect our query to the index page, and index connect our backend to the front end. just change the script part, and here in front end just you have to change packet.json and add proxy server of localhost 8000, and just have to create a pay app to have to add this thing to call our pages like slash student create update from the here create update and the student create student code, call API create name and email. This is our insert. Just throw the API and API with our name and email data. Form same as student, just calling data from API get and set student result data. Here I create add link and all the front end. I call student.map student from here, set student result dot data, result come from the backend, and just print data dot name and data dot email, and add update code. Here I add id in parameter at above URL, and here I send id to the function of handle delete. On click handle delete, id gone, id go with the handle delete, and id go into the student delete in API. Same as the update code. Yeah, I use put $id from the parameter name and email from the form. Thank you.